Hey there. Meet Alex. He's been doing some reading, and now he has a question. He read that gold is rare, valuable, and has been treasured by humans for thousands of years. So Alex is wondering, why don't we just use gold as our currency? Why can't gold become money again? It sounds like a brilliant idea at first. Gold is shiny, rare, and doesn't rust or decay. People all over the world agree it's valuable. So why isn't it being used as everyday money? In this video, we're going to dive into why gold can't simply become a currency and why the world moved away from it in the first place. Before we explain why gold can't be a currency today, let's quickly revisit when it actually was. For thousands of years, gold was the backbone of almost every major economy in the world. Ancient Egyptians used it. Roman emperors minted gold coins. Medieval traders carried it across continents. Even in modern history, many countries operated under the gold standard, where every unit of currency was backed by a fixed amount of gold. For example, the US dollar was once directly tied to gold. You could literally walk into a bank and exchange your paper dollars for gold. This made people trust the currency because they knew it had real, physical value behind it. But by 1971, US President Richard Nixon officially ended the gold standard in what became known as the Nixon shock. Other countries had already been moving away from it. So, what went wrong? Why did the world abandon such a seemingly solid system? Let's break it down. Here's the first and most obvious problem: there simply isn't enough gold in the world to support modern economies. Think about it this way. The global economy today involves trillions and trillions of dollars worth of transactions every single day. Goods are bought and sold, salaries are paid, loans are made, businesses are started. All of this requires money to flow freely and in enormous amounts. Now, all the gold ever mined in human history from ancient Egypt to today would fill roughly 3.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's it, just 3.5 pools. And the amount of new gold mined each year is tiny compared to what the world economy needs. So, if every dollar, euro, yen, and yuan had to be backed by a physical piece of gold, there just wouldn't be enough gold to go around. Each unit of gold would have to represent such an enormous amount of value that the system would become incredibly impractical. For example, imagine if you tried to buy a cup of coffee and had to pay with a microscopic sliver of gold dust. How would anyone weigh it accurately? How would a small coffee shop even handle that? It would be a logistical nightmare. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that we did have enough gold. There's still a massive practical problem. Gold is extremely heavy and difficult to transport. In the old days, when international trade was slower and smaller, countries would physically ship gold bars across oceans to settle debts. This was already risky, expensive, and slow. Ships carrying gold could be robbed by pirates, sunk in storms, or delayed for months. Now imagine doing that in today's world, where billions of dollars worth of transactions happen in milliseconds through digital systems. A single click of a button can transfer money across the world instantly. If all of that had to be backed by physical gold moving from one vault to another, international trade and finance would grind to a halt. In 2024, global trade was worth over $30 trillion. You simply cannot move that kind of value in gold bars fast enough to keep up with modern business. The world would slow down dramatically, and economies would suffer. Here's something important to understand. Economies grow. New businesses are created, new technologies are invented, populations increase, and more goods and services are produced every year. A growing economy needs a growing money supply to function properly. Under a gold standard, however, the money supply is limited by how much gold a country has. And you can't just make more gold. You have to mine it, and mining is slow, expensive, and environmentally damaging. So, what happens when the economy grows faster than the gold supply? There isn't enough money to go around. People and businesses can't borrow or spend as much as they need to. This can trigger deflation, the opposite of inflation, where the value of money actually increases over time. Now, deflation might sound like a good thing. Oh, my money is worth more. But in reality, deflation is very dangerous. When people expect prices to keep falling, that they stop spending money, they wait for things to get cheaper. But when people stop spending, businesses earn less, workers get laid off, and the economy slows down. This is exactly what happened during the Great Depression in the 1930s, when countries that stayed on the gold standard suffered more and longer than those that left it. So, tying your money supply to gold essentially means you can't control your economy properly. It's like trying to drive a car where the accelerator is stuck. You can't speed up when you need to, and you can't slow down when things get dangerous. Here's another problem that most people don't think about. If gold were the basis of all currency, then countries that happen to have a lot of gold deposits would have an enormous and unfair economic advantage. Countries like China, Australia, Russia, and South Africa are among the world's biggest gold producers. If gold were money, these countries could simply mine more gold and instantly become richer and more powerful, not because their economies are more productive or their people are working harder, but just because they were lucky enough to be sitting on gold deposits. Meanwhile, countries with little or no gold, like Japan, South Korea, or many small island nations, would be permanently disadvantaged, no matter how hardworking or innovative their people are. This would create a deeply unfair global economic system based on geological luck rather than actual productivity and economic strength. Under the current fiat money system, a country like Japan can build one of the world's largest economies through manufacturing, technology, and trade, even without a single significant gold mine. That kind of economic flexibility would be impossible under a gold standard. You might be thinking, but gold is always valuable. People always want gold. And it's true that gold holds value over long periods. But here's the tricky part: the price of gold itself fluctuates constantly. In 2000, gold was worth around $270 per ounce. By 2011, it had skyrocketed to over $1,900 per ounce. Then it fell back down. Then it rose again. In 2025, gold hit record highs of over $5,600 per ounce. These are massive swings in value. Now, imagine if your salary, your grocery prices, and your rent were all tied directly to the price of gold. One year, your $1,000 salary could buy a certain amount of goods. The next year, if gold prices crashed, your salary might effectively be cut in half, even though your boss didn't change it and you didn't work any less. The economy would be at the mercy of gold markets, which are influenced by mining discoveries, investor speculation, political events, and global crises. This is the opposite of what a good currency should do. A currency works best when it's stable and predictable. People need to trust that the money they earn today will buy roughly the same amount of things tomorrow. Gold, despite its reputation, simply doesn't provide that kind of stability in the short term. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, the global financial system has already been built around fiat money. Decades of infrastructure, institutions, laws, trade agreements, and digital systems have been designed around flexible government-issued currencies. Switching back to a gold standard now would require a complete overhaul of the entire global financial system: central banks, international trade, digital payments, stock markets, and more. The disruption would be catastrophic. Countries would have to agree on how much gold backs each currency, who controls the gold reserves, and how to handle countries that don't have enough gold. Getting every nation in the world to agree on all of this is virtually impossible. Think of it like trying to switch every road in the world, from driving on the right side to driving on the left side, all at once, overnight. The chaos would cause more damage than the old system ever could. So, can gold ever be a currency? In short, no, at least not in the modern world. Gold is a fantastic store of value over very long periods of time, which is why central banks still hold gold reserves as a safety net. It's also a great investment hedge against inflation. But as a day-to-day currency, it's too heavy, too scarce, too slow, too unstable in the short term, and too politically complicated. The world needs a currency that can grow with the economy, move at the speed of digital transactions, and be managed flexibly by governments and central banks, responding to real-time economic conditions. Gold simply can't do all of that. That's why, even though gold will always be precious and valuable, it's much better off as a treasure than as your everyday spending money. And that's why the next time Alex goes to buy a coffee, he'll be paying with dollars, not gold dust. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy simple explanations of complex economic ideas, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, what topic should we explore next? Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.